Hi, so just checking in with a little video with some practice tips, ideas that are probably very obvious if you're short of time to just make the most of your practice and practice effectively. So I've managed to think of 8, I'll bet there's a million more. So the first one I thought of was when you start, find your sound. So really, I always like to start with slow bows. So you really get into your sound and find a really relaxed ringing sound. Because then you can keep that sound in your head, the sound and the feel of it, when you then get to play some trickier passages in your practice, whatever piece you're looking at. Plan your time, another really obvious one. So you might like to think of how you proportion out your time. So however long your practice is, for example, you might do a third of it on scales, a third of it on exercises, and a third of it on pieces. You know, whether you're practicing for half an hour, or 10 minutes even. So that might be quite a useful way of just making sure you cover everything that you want to cover when you're practicing. Another really useful one is to do small sections. So obviously you're not going to try and play things through all the time. And then when you're looking at these little sections, just try and think about one thing at a time. I mean, I still find it's so easy to feel kind of overwhelmed because you want something to get better and there's just, you know, so many components that you want to think about. So whether it's your bow distribution or your tuning or your sound or your phrasing or a tricky rhythm, if you just focus on one thing at a time, then that, I find, is a more effective way of improving something. Another thing that I'm sure you do is to go beyond what you need. So if you're practicing a fast piece, obviously you're going to work it up with a metronome, but then go beyond so that then when you come to play it in context, you think, oh yeah, it's not too fast at all. Or, for example, if you were doing something high and you even went into the higher octave, then when you come back down to your kind of normal place, it'll feel much more comfortable. So pushing yourself, and even with the sound, you know, if you want to find a really strong sound, if you push yourself beyond, then you'll know the limits of your instrument or of your bowing technique or whatever. So that's another useful idea. Mix it up, obviously, you don't want to get bored. So maybe something for your left hand, something for your bow, something with rhythm, something with phrasing. You know, keep alternating what you're thinking about so you don't get bogged down in something. Especially with bowing, take the long view I've written. Sometimes when you're trying to work out your bow distribution so that you end up in a comfortable part of the bow, you just need to look, you know, throughout the whole phrase. So for example, if you've ended up down near the heel and you want to get back, you might not be able to get back straight away. You might have to kind of work your way back along the bow over a series of notes or a series of bars. So the long view can be quite good. The next thing I wrote is that there's no medals, you know. At the end of the day, if you've tried a fingering or a bowing and it's not working for you, try something else. Don't persevere too long with something that just isn't sounding good, you know, and you might find a better way, a better solution around a particular problem. And then the last thing, as always, is that obviously you want to have great control over what you're doing, control over your sound, but then that control is your kind of passport to feeling free when you play, especially playing with other people. We all hope you're coming out of lockdown and getting the chance to do that. So, you know, what you want is that you've got the control that then when you just want to respond, it's going to come out how you want it. So I hope those are not too obvious and maybe just useful in some way for you. And wishing you all the best.